Hi everyone, so today we'll talk about video games. So 70% of video games are created with history of the earth, most simply the story of the humans. So they will have three parts from this introduction. So we'll talk about the past, the present, and the future because games are created the most video games are created by with the history. So let's start with the past. So we can take the Assassin's Creed series because that talk about more simply. We'll take an example for start. So Assassin's Creed Black Flag that was on the pirate periods. So the games is turned about the pirates, sabotage, and conquest of many islands, destructions of many boats, and the vocabulary or the dialogues are really adapted for this period. For example, we can take other games like no, Assassin's Creed is a good example. So now let's talk about the presents. So game created by with the presents are more usual. So let's talk about FIFA, for example, with FIFA 2020, FIFA 21, that not inspired by many things, but the present. So the all teams, all football teams are recreated every years. So that make a game really actualized with the presence. So that's approximately all game that use presence for create their series. And now we can talk about the games that was created with the future. So we can talk about Fallout, the series Fallout. That's the great example of the future, or cyberpunk because it's new and uh, pretty weighted by all the community. But let's talk about Fallout. So, as you know or not, Fallout 4 is a video game that inspired with the actual situation and the reflection of all human defaults, like the always wants more, always want to conquer, so always want to show are strong. So Fallout is about a nuclear war. So after 2077, uh, the many nuclear bombs are launched and all the people are cryogenized and come back 200 years later. So that's a reflection of probably the future. I don't want it to be, but it's a reflection. Or Cyberpunk, the new games reflecting to the future, but in another way, like everyone is a robot or a human, but not really a good view by other one because robots are composed, no, robots composing 90% of the Earth in Cyberpunk, so be a human is not really a nice view it. That's always the history, so as a member of the group we'll talk about all inspiration that can video games takes.
Video games are also inspired by movies and books. This inspiration created some of the best games of the century, or game that is legendary nowadays. In the category of games inspired by movies, we can find the Middle Earth series. In their game, we play an old soldier that wants to kill the enemy war commander for killing his wife and his child. Their game are inspired of the universe of fantasy movies Lord of the Ring. Like the movies, in their game, we can find orc, gnomes, ring of power, and the famous character Golem. Like the Middle Earth series, we can find Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. In this game, we control Jedi that try to find the Hollow One to save all the apprentices. This game was inspired by the universe of the Star Wars series. We can also find in this game the spaceships fight, the lightsabers, the dark side, and the unique character Dark Vader. This inspiration can be found in the recent games like Alien Isolation. In this game, we control the daughter of Ellen Ripley, a character from the Alien movies. The aim of the game is to escape of the space station while escaping the alien who infiltrated the station. This game is situated between the first and the second movies. We can also find games inspired by movies in old games like GoldenEye. GoldenEye is a first-person shooter published in years 1997, inspired by the movies James Bond. In this game, we play the famous secret agent 007 in different missions. Now we talk about game inspired by movie, we're going to talk about games inspired by books. The Witcher series is a series of video games where the player play Geralt, a witcher whose job is to hunt monsters, ghosts, heal people from curse and all the other paranormal action. The games were inspired by books The Witcher written by Andrzej Sapkowski. Metro 2053 is a first-person shooter survival horror game where the player controls Artyom, a Russian orphan who travels in a metro in a post-apocalyptic world. This game is inspired by the books with the same title, Metro 2053, written by Dmitry Glukovsky. And finally, Bioshock is a game published by 2K Games in years 2007. The type of this game is survival horror, where the player controls Jack, a survivor of an aerial crash in 1916. This game is inspired by all the books of the philosopher Ayn Rand. She is famous for her objective philosophy, and she considered like a theorist of an individualistic capitalism and advocating the value of reason.
There is many video games which are sport video games like FIFA, NBA 2K or Wii Sport. In this type of game, player play a game of football or basketball that depend of which game it is. If you play Wii Sport, you can choose bowling or wakeboard, box, tennis, because Wii Sport is a regroupment of sport game. Uh, You have many games which are sport video games, but with fantastic character, like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic game, developed by Nintendo. This game is inspired by the Olympic game. You have another game that called Blood Bowl, developed by 2K game, which is a rugby game inspired by the Warhammer character. Or you can play Inazuma 11, developed by Level 5, which is a football game. Uh, there is Le Tour de France, developed by Cyanide, inspired by the Real Tower of France. There is a Forza, which is a racing game developed by EA. And that's all.
Some video games are inspired by board games. For example, the board game Monopoly adapted as a video games, or Cluedo where you have to find the person who killed the victim, the Uno where you have to be the first to run out of cards, Scrabble where you have to fill in the gourd with words containing the letters you have, Trivial Pursuit where you have to answer questions of different types, usually entertainment, art or literature, geography. There are also games inspired by real life, such as The Sims, in which you play a character to create a life. The world of The Sims is a humorous and offbeat projection of the consumer society where there is not precise objective. There is a slow township in which you have to create a kind of city in the country. Animals and raised, plantations are cultivated, products such as cheese, donuts, popcorn, clothes are created. We can also export our product thanks to train and planes. There is also the game City Island 4 Virtual City, where you have to create a city like New York or Paris, or even Farmville 2 Tropical Paradise, where you have to create a city on a paradise island. And there is some games you can manage your hotel, like in Grand Hotel Mania. Nowadays, brain sports games have also been dematerialized and are not available on smartphone. We can thus see appearing on your phone screen the Sudoku game and the game of shuffleboard, crossword, arrow road, nonogram, or picross. Many other things have been integrated into our mobile phones as game, for example, puzzle, coloring, etc.